interesting names in free agency. Would you be willing to make a big-time signing, maybe to add to wide receiver or any other position you felt the need to do?
I think we'll, depending on what happens at the quarterback position, I think we'll have some room under the cap to hopefully bring a free agent or two in that can help us.
I had only seen snippets of the Bob Pompiani interview with Art Rooney II. I'd only seen some of the answers in print. It wasn't until last night that I saw the full 12-minute sit-down posted. And when I saw it, this is the answer that jumped out at me for a couple of different reasons. And there's a couple of different topics that we can jump off that answer to get into. How much money do they think they're going to spend on quarterback? They've got $40 million in cap space right now. With some deft restructuring, they could have around $60 million in cap space. Depending on what they do with the TJ Watt contract, they could get more money in cap space. The Steelers shouldn't have to worry about what the quarterback's going to cost at all, Dorin, unless they're paying top dollar for a quarterback. And I don't think you have to pay top dollar for Russ. At most, I think you're looking at $30 million. Now, that would cut sizably into that chunk. And with Justin Fields, I think you're looking probably at premium backup money, which would top out at about $15 million a season. If it's Justin Fields, and it is 15, then you're looking at $25 million in cap space, or you're looking at $35, $40 million in cap space, depending again on the restructures. I wouldn't be worried about that at all. Mm-hmm. And so the other thing it tells me, I'm sorry, Dorin, is like, are they going to overpay for one of these guys?
They're probably going to have to. I mean, think about it. This is where the agents make their money. They know how desperate the Steelers are. Every quarterback that's out there, Sam Darnold knows how desperate the Steelers are. Russ, their agents, the player and the agent. Russell Wilson and his agent knows how desperate the Steelers are, and especially Justin Fields' agent and himself know how desperate the Steelers are. You could jack that price up. It's like, what are you going to do? We talked about it yesterday, Crowley, man. Like, if they don't sign one of these guys, at least Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, who's the Steelers quarterback? They know that, so it's like, all right, you think you're going to lowball me with if I'm Justin Fields, you're going to lowball me with a backup money? No, $20 million a year, because you need me.
So I wanted to get into this portion of the quote later in the show, but here we are because I brought us here. If Justin Fields wants $20+ million, thank you, but no thank you. Appreciate your time. Thanks for leading us to a 4-2 record. We really like your character. You're fun to watch. I ain't paying that guy $20 million. I might consider doing it for a year. But Art said in the gathered media assembly that he wants to sign one of these guys to a multi-year deal. I'm not tying myself to Justin Fields for $20 million each of the next 2 years.
But you'd be willing to pay Russ $25?
No.
Would you be willing to play Russ $20?
No. I don't want to spend that kind of money on a quarterback.
Well, Russ is going to go lower than 20.
I think he's going to go higher than 20.
Right.
So he's out for me, totally. And the question then becomes, would you be willing to pay $20 million a season for Justin Fields? And my answer is absolutely not. They got too much other crap going on that they need to pay for.
Then where do you go?
Then I start tanking.
Underneath Mike Tomlin, you think that this franchise will do that?
No, I absolutely don't think they would do that, but that's what I would do.
That's what you do.
And maybe tanking's too strong a word. I'm just not paying a premium at quarterback. If Justin Fields is going to cost me $20 million, I'm going to sign somebody for cheaper than that, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to start overspending on other things. Now, without one of these two quarterbacks, it's going to be tough to entice a wide receiver to come here. But money talks. And so I would be willing to overspend on wide receiver and underspend on quarterback.
You'd willing to overspend on wide receiver, underspend on quarterback, overspend on the receiver that doesn't have a quarterback?
Yes. Because at some point you're going to have a quarterback. I'm trying to build up this roster as best I can. And I can't allow overpaying a quarterback to hurt me there.
You can move the money around certain years too. I mean, especially up front, backload it.
But then I don't want to deal with a dead cap hit on a quarterback when I might have my future quarterback already in place. Like an example of that would be, okay, you sign Russ to a 3 or 4 year deal that you really consider a 1 or 2 year deal, but you backload those final few years of the contract. Well, what happens if next year, and I'm just throwing a name out there, Drew Aller has the greatest season that we've ever seen, and oh my God, he's a can't-miss guy, and you draft Drew Aller next year. Well, now you can't surround him with talent because you're paying Russell Wilson to be a $30 million backup. I can't do that. I am worried based on that answer that they are so desperate that Justin Fields could be your guy next year at like $25 million.
Right.
And while I do think you're going to have to outbid teams for his services, I don't want them to outbid themselves more than anybody else. And that answer scared me. That's not the topic I wanted to lead with, though.
No.
I want to get into that later on in the show with Pat Bostic. What could they do this offseason that would make you go, hey, whoa, I'm actually excited about the trajectory of this franchise? Because they did stuff last offseason that made me go, whoa, hey, I'm excited about the trajectory of this franchise. They overhauled the quarterback room. They spent more money on a free agent in Patrick Queen than they ever have. They did some stuff that made you go, okay, they're aggressive now. They traded Deontay Johnson, which the timing of that was whack, but they actually did it. And you thought, okay, this franchise is in good hands with Omar Khan. They know what they're doing. They wanted to be urgent. Why'd that they take so long to come out of my mouth? They're going to be urgent. Art Rooney II said, you got to be urgent. So they were. They were aggressive. And I think a lot of us came out of the offseason wanting a wide receiver, but also understanding they did an awful lot. If they do, quote unquote, an awful lot during this offseason, but offensively, I'll go, oh, hey, they're moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Short of that, there's nothing they can do that's going to make me feel good about this franchise. That's what I need to see. And then 1B would be actually expanding their coaching staff, again, with a focus on the offensive side.
Draft included with this?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going first round receiver, second round D tackle, third round running back. Sign a DK Metcalf if he gets released.
If they did that, I'm not doing somersaults in the street because they're still not going to have their franchise quarterback, but I might throw a fist pump up. That would be almost an ideal offseason for me.
And then get Justin Fields underneath $20 million if you can.
That's the perfect offseason.
And then get Trey Lance under $10 million if you can.
Dorin, you should be the general manager.
Then I'd be like, okay.
Yes, 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 yes. Now, I saw someone for Steelers.com yesterday said if the Steelers draft a wide receiver in round 1 instead of a defensive lineman, that they're going to lose their mind. Jerry Dulac has also been on this. They need a defensive lineman trained. Mike Tomlin has spent a ton of time, according to reports, at the Senior Bowl scouting defensive linemen. Talking to the kid from Kentucky.
Yep.
Going out on the field. Personal one-on-one defensive line coach Mike Tomlin. They're focusing a ton on that position. They need it. I'm not going to dispute that. 4 of their 6 regulars are over 30. Their best defensive player last year is in his mid-30s, and at some point ain't going to be an all-pro anymore because that's not the way that life works.
Yep.
But if they draft a defensive tackle in round 1, I'm going to lose my mind. Sign a wide receiver. Maybe 2. Get Justin for under 15. Draft a wide receiver round 1. D-tackle round 2, fine. Deep D-tackle draft. And because it's such a deep running back draft, yes, draft 1 in round 3. That can be a plug-and-play guy that's going to be a 1A, 1B with Jaylen Warren. That, to me, is an offseason that, as a Steelers fan, I can get excited about.
Mm-hmm.
But you just know they're going to draft a D-tackle round 1.
Yep.
You just know they're going to go out and try to buy a number 1 or number 2 corner. Now that we know that they actually will be active in free agency because they did it last offseason, they're going to spend more money. They're going to allocate more resources to the defensive side of the football. You just know it.
Yes, you do. You do.
And I can't stand that.